Just over 2 years ago, I broke my right tibia and fibula in a skiing accident in Park City, Utah. My particular break happened down by the ankle, which is unusual because in most ski breaks, the break actually happens above the boot line, closer to the knee. I'll link to my first update video, which really details the accident and the surgeries, but long story short, I had to get an external fixator put on my leg that same night, and the very next day, I caught a flight home to Nashville, where I got the plates and screws surgery done about a week later. The immediate recovery was pretty rough. It felt like my independence had been taken away from me. Obviously, I couldn't walk, couldn't drive, and had to keep the foot elevated as much as possible. I was put on oxycodone, and it definitely helped, but anyone who's been in pain might know that vicious cycle where it works and then it starts to wear off, and then you're just nervously counting down the seconds until you're allowed to take your next dose. So I really just tried to occupy my mind and my body to the best of my ability, because the last thing that you want to do is just sit there and ruminate on your situation. I did a lot of meditation, reading, writing, deep breathing exercises, which are very important after surgery to keep your lungs strong, and really any upper body exercise I could get away with, which at first was just squeezing some grippers and a pec stick. After the first week or so, things were definitely feeling better. I was able to get around a little bit more and started using a knee scooter, which I highly recommend. I started physical therapy and took my first steps about 3.5 months after the accident, and I started back to jiu-jitsu classes at about the 6-month mark. And again, because the break happened so far down the bone, I had to focus a lot on my ankle. So I'll be sure to link to my rehab exercises video down below as well. And it really took a full year before the swelling completely dissipated and the foot felt normal. My ankle range of motion is definitely not what it used to be, but it's fully functional for walking, running, hiking, and even deep squats. And speaking of running, that's been the last major hurdle for me. About 1.5 years after the break, I tried to go out for a jog, and honestly, between my Achilles and calf tightening up, and honestly just getting out of breath after a block, I could barely last a minute. So that was pretty discouraging, but every time I went out for a walk, I would just try to go for a little jog, usually just a block or two, and really for the longest time, it felt awkward. The ankle was very, very stiff, but I kept plugging away at it just a little bit at a time. And eventually, I actually found out that jogging backwards felt really good. So that was a big unlock for me and really helped to break the ice. Eventually, I learned to run with short, easy strides, and the ankle held up surprisingly well. Today, I have practically no discomfort in the foot, and I really think all the extra movement has helped the pliability of all those tissues. Fast forward to New Year's Eve 2022, and I thought to myself, if I could run a half marathon, that would be a pretty cool, symbolic way of putting this injury behind me. So before the clock struck midnight, I signed up for the Nashville Rock and Roll Half Marathon, and surprisingly enough, I've actually been enjoying training for it these last few months. The race is in another 4 weeks, but I wanted to go ahead and get this update video out since so many of you out there have been asking for it. And really, that is it from me. Again, I would encourage you to check out my broken leg recovery playlist video if you're going through something similar. Thanks again to everyone who supported me over the last couple years. It's really meant a lot. And if you are struggling through an injury yourself, please do take care of yourself. Please know that it does get better, and I hope that some of my videos have helped in some small way. So with that, wishing you all the best, and we'll see you in the next video.